I figured.
Practice, I was just everywhere with that thing.
Okay. Well, hey, I figured I'd let you give it a shot.
Well, glad to see you here at our Wednesday night connection classes. If you would please stand and sing with us, Only a Sinner. Not have I gotten but what I received. Grace hath bestowed it since I have believed. Boasting excluded, pride I abase. I'm only a sinner, saved by grace. Only a sinner, saved by grace. Only a sinner, saved by grace. This is my story, to God be the glory. I'm only a sinner, saved by grace.
All right, wonderful singing, and thank you for leading that song, Joshua. And let's go ahead and begin our services this evening with a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful to gather together in your house this evening, and we thank you for the time that we have to come around your word in each of our classes. And Lord, we ask your blessing upon these services tonight, on this opening assembly, the songs that we sing. We ask that you would anoint every teacher all the way down from the master clubs and the nursery workers and all the way up to those who are working with the adults. And Lord, I ask that you would open every heart and help us to be open and receptive to the truths that we learned from your word tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. Think you may be seated, and just some updates on some announcements for some things that are taking place around here. This coming Saturday is the craft fair, and I think we have more than 20 vendors who have signed up to be here on the property on this coming Saturday, and so that's going to be really exciting, all the different things that are going to be sold and all of that. And so I want to encourage you to come out, bring some friends, and come and do. Anybody go out Saturday junkin'? Anybody do that? So we'll do it this Saturday and do it here, okay? So Danica, did you raise your hand? Do you go junkin'? Oh, okay, because I noticed that your mom didn't raise her hand, so, okay. I thought, I wonder how Danica does that, you know. She's a little tall for her age, but she can't drive yet, so anyway, well, that's wonderful. So come do your Saturday junkin' at Bible Baptist Church this week, and November 6th, we'll be doing that. Just so you know, though, the reason we're doing that is that the proceeds for the craft fair are going to go to support the teenagers as they go to camp. And so we want to mention to you about that only those teenagers who come and assist with the fundraising events will have money applied to their account. And so if you have a teenager or a junior who is going to camp this summer at the Wilds and you'll need assistance with that, then make sure to let Hayden and Antonella know that your teenager or young person is coming to help with camp so that they can be sure to assign them a responsibility to help. And there is a sign-up sheet for that in the lobby as well. So you can either tell them, you can put it on the sign-up sheet, but just make sure that they're aware, and then they'll get assigned to a particular responsibility. One thing that we would like to be able to do is that there are a number of vendors who could use some assistance with childcare during the craft fair. And so I think that while we could use some teenagers for that, our insurance policy does require that there be adults present whenever we have children in the nursery. And so that helps to make sure that if in the unlikely event that there were some kind of an emergency, that we could be covered. So we like to adhere to those policies. If you would like to or you would be willing to help, whether you like it or not. Okay, so Miss Loris just volunteered, and so she'll come on Saturday morning. Okay, and then Elena. Well, that worked out really well. We've never had a sign-up go like that before. Usually, I got to announce it for months and months and months and put it on the screen, and then people come to me the day of and say, well, nobody told me. But anyway, I'm so thankful. I am so thankful for the servant-hearted people that God has given to us. So thank the Lord we'll have childcare for the vendors available on that day. And there is information about camp already available, so you know the cost and the arrival time and what to bring and all of those things in advance. That information is at the table in the lobby. It's on the information table in the lobby. So you can pick that up. But just so you are aware, it's $400 per camper for the Wilds, and that is the reason that we're doing these fundraisers. And so if you're aware of the cost for that, that might be a greater motivation for you to support those events. And so just want to give you a heads up on that. Something you might be interested in as well, we got our final total for the month of October this far for Faith Promise Missions commitment was $62,100 committed to Faith Promise Missions in 2022. And so if you've not yet turned in those Faith Promise Missions commitment cards, then you're still welcome to do so, and that'll help us in being able to. But that total is what we are going to count on for the budget this far for next year. So that's wonderful. And it's not too late to sign up to be a prayer partner for a missionary as well. At the information table in the lobby, you'll find that there are a stack of cards available there for missionaries who people have not already committed to pray for. So in the event that during the candlelight service, you took one missionary, but you'd like to pray for a few missionaries or a couple of missionaries, then here's what you do. Just pick up those cards, and you'll take the first one and keep it for yourself. Take the second one and fill that out. If you'll put it in the offering plate, it'll get turned into the church office for us, and that'll make it so that we can make sure you actually get the prayer letters for those missionaries. And I appreciate our church receptionist. She's this lovely redheaded girl doing that for us, sending those out. So those are those announcements. Let me look at these announcements. Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and we'll be having a Thanksgiving meal at Bible Baptist Church on November 21st. On that Sunday, there will only be one service in the morning at 10:30. So if you're a regular attender of the 8:30 service, then make sure to make note of that and don't come early. And if you do, don't yell at me because I told you in advance. And if you came to church and were listening, then you would know. So on the 21st, come at 10:30, and afterwards we'll enjoy a Thanksgiving dinner together. The church is going to do a turkey and a ham, but if you'll bring the sides, desserts, and drinks, then that will make sure that there will be more than enough to spare and the multitudes will be fed. And you'll also be able to invite your friends and family members and loved ones and relatives and maybe some of your enemies. Jesus said, bless them that curse you and all that too. You can bring them and feed them, and it'll be like keeping coals of fire on their head, according to Romans. So then the Thanksgiving food drive is also going on at that time. We're collecting names for people who may need assistance. So if you have some people that you're witnessing to, some people that you have been working with, discipling, some coworkers that you're concerned about, if you have somebody in your neighborhood that you're aware of who could use some help this year because of some things you might be aware of in their lives, go ahead and fill out the form and turn that into us, and we'll compile that list and then sort the food accordingly based on family size and make sure that we get all of those needed supplies to each of those individuals. All right. Do we have any Master Clubs presentations? Any Master Club presentations? Okay. If not, then my final announcement is don't forget there is a financial team meeting after the evening service this coming Sunday evening at November 7th. And so for those of you on the financial team who are interested in serving on the financial team, then to be present for that. For those who are already on the financial team, you would have already received the agenda in your email inbox, so make sure that you take a look at that, and we'll meet this coming Sunday night after church. Well, let's stand together. We're going to dismiss the Master Clubs, and they're going to head over to the Master Club room, the children's ministry room. And everybody else, we're going to sing Just Over in the Glory Land. Brother Josh is going to come and lead us in this song.
I've a home prepared where the saints abide, just over in the glory land, and I long to be your side, over in the glory land. Just over in the glory land, I'll join the happy angel band. Just over in the glory land, just over in the glory land, there with the mighty host I'll stand. Just over in the glory land. You may be dismissed.
All right, so is this thing on? All right, I'm not sure whether to feel a little bit like Joel Osteen up here and I'm missing my, three-piece Armani suit, or if I should be getting ready to star in a music video. I'm not really sure. But this is rather unique for me for a, I can't call it a lapel mic. I don't know what you call it now. Yeah, it's a whatchamacallit. Yeah, that's what I got. A telemarketer special. There we go. I think I like that one best of all. All right. Well, I could get my single gray glove and do a little ee-hee, ow, or something like that. I don't know. Whoa. See? That was a no. Yeah, I got a word from above. Joel's telling me, don't do that. All right. Job chapter 30. Wait a second. Is it 32 or 33? Now I feel like I'm in a tunnel. All right, I could have been in a tunnel. I mean, I could have been in a box. I could have done my mime impression. All right, all these poor people who are sitting here on, YouTube or whatever it is. Facebook, yeah, that's it. That's the other one. Although if I talk like this, it does sound really deep. I know I need to keep talking so you guys can calibrate, right? Okay, I have so. I can sing my ABCs. I can say my 1, 2, 3s. Yeah, there we go. I can hum a little tune. I can make that noise. It's not easy though, as far as that goes. So yeah, I'm sure at some point we'll figure it out. I hope anyways. So, yep. 1, 2, test, 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 test. ABC. PDQ, IDK, LOL. I can keep going, okay, all right. Listening to all these acronyms, I remember the first time somebody put in, what was it, RF, LOL or something like that on a text message to me, and I literally had to ask them, what in the world are you talking about? Because I don't do all that. Job 32 is where we are. If you want to join me in Job 32. We're making a big jump from where we were last time. We were in the mid-20s in our chapters last time, but not that I don't think it's worth it, but a lot of the last couple of chapters that I just skipped over, let's be honest, we're into a pretty much a redundant cycle, aren't we? We look at Job and his three friends. Job's three friends basic. What is Job's three friends' basic argument? Job, you're a sinner. God's judging you. What is Job's response?
I have not sinned.
No, I'm not. Or pretty much, I still have my integrity. And what has Job's desire been through this whole thing that we've said? What is the one thing Job wants since this started? He just wants God to answer him. Job more than once, tell me what I've done wrong. If I've done something wrong, I don't think so, but tell me what I've done wrong. Give me an answer, make me feel like you're here. He just wants to understand what's going on. And we're not going to get to that this week. I figure we've got, what? This is beginning of November? So if you throw in Thanksgiving holidays, if you throw in Christmas holidays, we've got about what, 5-6 good weeks left in the year. So my goal is to be done with the book of Job by, mid-December, early December, and we'll go from there. So I want you to join with me. We're going to go through, believe it or not, 5 or 6 chapters tonight and hit some things so that in the next 2 or 3 weeks we can talk about how God responds to Job finally. In chapter 32, it starts off with this. So these 3 men ceased to answer Job because he was righteous in his own eyes. Have you ever just decided that it was no longer worth your breath to talk to somebody because their mind was made up, and no matter how much you talked, you had pretty much given up any hope that you were going to change their mind on something they believed? Felt like that sometime in the past? Maybe with a family member, maybe with a friend, maybe with an enemy, I don't know. But Job's 3 friends finally figure at this particular point, and now again, we're talking about his friends' minds. Job has deluded himself in the belief that he has done nothing wrong. There is nothing more we can say that is going to actually convince him that he has actually done wrong. So they decide at this particular point that it is best now just to stop talking. I'm sure Job wished they would have stopped talking a long time ago, mostly because all they did was to seem to hurl accusations at him rather than to help him. And we've spent some time over the past couple months talking about, being a help, not a hindrance. I mean, these guys came in, and yes, they sat there silently with Job, but boy, did they hit him hard and furious about, well, you're a horrid, rotten sinner, so get right with God and everything will be fine. Rather than give the man some compassion, give the man some understanding, let Job talk about what's going on, And not that I'm all big into feelings and stuff, but Job had a lot that he needed to discuss and talk, and his friends really didn't want to listen to Job talk about what Job probably needed to talk about at this point. I don't really know that I fully believe that Job's friends were all that much of an encouragement. And once again, we don't know the time frame. I don't know where Job chapter 4 starts and Job chapter 37 ends. Are you following me? Did it happen over the course of a couple days? Did it happen over the course of a couple weeks? Was it a month or 2? I mean, really, you could sit down and read the entire book of Job in what? An hour? Maybe 2? I think there were a lot more discussions than God chooses to make known to us. I really believe that. I believe there were times when they had to just take a break. I know that I've had mild disagreements on occasion with a person to where I just have to walk away. I mean, I got so frustrated with my period 7 class at the very end because I'm trying to finish up. I'm trying to tell them what I need to know. They just won't be quiet. And I know you guys wouldn't believe this, I'm not one who's going to yell at my class to get them under control. So I said, fine. I turned off my projector. It was 5 minutes left. I said, the rest is on you. And I went and sat in my chair. There's just times that sometimes you just have to turn and walk away. Okay, because I'm not going to yell at kids. But at the same point, 29 kids that are not mine, I only have so much control over no matter what the state of Florida as an educator tells me I should have. It's just a different time than it used to be. But I know that sometimes in a disagreement, it's best just to walk away and take a break for a moment. Did some of that happen during this time? It's possible. But we get to verse 2, and it says, then was kindled the wrath of Elihu. And all of a sudden, everybody goes, wait, what? Who? We had Eliphaz, we had Bildad, we had Zophar. These were Job's 3 friends. They have spent the better part of the last, like I said, almost 30 chapters talking back and forth with Job. And when they finally decide to stop, here comes Elihu. It says here that he is the son of Barashel, the Buzite of the kindred of Ram, and did some looking at that just because I was interested. Some people think that the ram there is referring to Aram, which is actually a direct relative to Abraham, which is why many people think that Job lived around the time of Abraham. You couple that with the very last couple of verses of Job where it says how old he lived. His time frame fits in the extent of about how long, say, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob lived. So it fits that mold. You know, it doesn't really fit the mold of him living before the flood because Job didn't make it to 600, 700, 800 years old. And it doesn't fit after that because he didn't die at, 90 or 100. So I think that makes sense. So it's entirely possible that we have here somebody who has a connection all the way to Abraham. And here is his words. It says, "Against Job was his wrath kindled because he justified himself rather than God. Also against his 3 friends was his wrath kindled because they had found no answer and yet had condemned Job." Now it's interesting to think about that. He was mad at everybody. You gotta like that guy, don't you? He comes in, he's mad at... I've done that to kids. You got kids fighting, you say, "I'm just mad at all of you. You're both wrong." And I think in essence, that's what he's saying. He's mad at Job because Job has spent the better part of 30 chapters saying, "But I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not guilty. I did not sin against God." He is in a way justifying himself. And he's mad at Job's 3 friends because for 30 chapters, you guys couldn't make a convincing argument to this guy. You guys could not, it was 3-on-1, and you guys could not convince him that Job was at fault. So he decides that it's time for him to speak. Now you say, why did he wait so long to speak? The Bible tells us here as we continue to read. It says in verse 4, "Now Elihu had waited till Job had spoken," and it is assuming also his 3 friends, "because they were elder than he. When Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these 3 men, then was his wrath kindled, and Elihu, the son of Barashel, the Buzite, answered and said, I am young, and ye are very old." That's a great way to start a conversation, especially with a woman. I have learned that no woman ever makes it past the age of 29. My mom just celebrated her birthday. I asked her how it was being 29 again. She proceeded to tell me. That's what I have learned. I don't know. Right now, I'm probably getting a stare or 2 from 1 or 2 ladies. My apologies. It's okay. It's just a joke. All right? And I got thinking about this. My dad has a saying that he tells me on occasion. And tell me if you ever had somebody tell you this. Age and experience beats youth and exuberance every time. I see Brother Ken back there nodding. He's heard that expression, yeah? As I've gotten older, I've come to understand what that means. You might be young and you might have tons of energy, but that doesn't mean you have a clue what you're doing. And so many times I think the younger generation gets that idea that I don't need to talk to you. Good night. You were back alive before they ever invented color television. That's old. Good night. My parents had a record player instead of just, we also had an 8-track cassette tape player at home too. Any of you guys remember that? So obviously, you can't tell me anything that relates to my life. That's what these kids are like. And I feel that way now. I'm kind of in that middle. I know some about technology, but I don't lie. When I need tech help at school, I ask one of the kids. Don't ask an adult. Get me a 16-year-old. Can you come up and show me a setting on this? Can you exit this off of my screen? I have no clue why I can't see what's on my computer. But if I have to look at Elihu, the first characteristic that I see from him is, boy, do I see some egotism. How about you? He comes in and he doesn't come in and say, guys, I appreciate what you did. I value what you have said. You guys are wise beyond your years. Would it be okay if I just came in and gave a few thoughts? He literally comes in, and in the way he says this, I'm young, and ye are, notice the adverb, very old. That's right. More and more I feel very old. Wherefore I was afraid, and durst not show you mine opinion. I said days should speak, and multitudes of years should teach wisdom. But there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty giveth them understanding. Great men are not always wise, neither do the aged understand judgment. You realize what he just called all these people? He just said, y'all are stupid. Now, if you were Job's 3 friends, are you about ready to smack this guy? If you were Job, are you looking at him going, seriously? No, there is a reason you're a junior member of the group. Go off to the side and be quiet. I think sometimes, and again, youth wasted on the young, I get all that. I would love to have the energy that I had back when I was, 18 years old. You know what I'm saying? Not that I would ever want to go back and run, what do we call them, guts back then on the soccer field. Whoever came up with the idea, run to the penalty box, run back, run to the goal, goalie box back, penalty box back, midfield back, the other person's penalty box, or no, goalie box, whatever. It was a lot of running, especially for a guy who really wasn't in shape, even in high school. But boy, I wish I had some of that energy from high school. And I wish I had some of the wisdom that I would like to think that I have today. It seems to me that Elihu is a guy who has tons of energy, tons of exuberance, and he himself does not understand the contributions of those who've been around for a while. Did you guys experience this growing up as well as I did? When I was a little kid, my parents were like the smartest people ever. And then I hit this thing called teenage years. And all of a sudden, my parents became stupid. They didn't know nothing. And then I graduated high school, and all of a sudden, my parents were brilliant again. And you realize that your parents never were not smart. 52 years old. If I have a problem with my car, my first call is still, hello, Dad, got a question for you. What do you think about this? And my dad will tell me his opinion. Why? Because I know my dad knows a whole lot more about cars than me. But Elihu said, I've sat here and listened to you guys for hours, days, weeks, months. I don't know the time frame, but he said, y'all stupid. Let me tell you how it works. Verse 12 says, hey, I attended unto you, and there was none of you that convinced Job or that answered his words. Lest ye should say, we have found out wisdom, God thrusteth him down, not man. Now he hath not directed his words against me, neither will I answer him with your speeches. And you got to love what these guys said. This is their response. They were amazed, they answered no more, they left off speaking. That, I think, is an old person, a more mature person's trait. Okay, smart Alec, go ahead. Tell me what you know. I'm listening. Have you ever done that with somebody younger and Jay? Go ahead. Just go ahead. Tell me how it is. Tell me how I don't understand what you think you're going through right now. We're going to get that fixed sometime, aren't we? I'm glad it's you working on it and not me, because I don't have a clue what you're doing. I know, so I'm the first person to do it. I told you, man. I feel like Joel Osteen, not joking. My wife said that I needed a suit coat to go with my jeans. That's what she told me. All right, to make me feel all young and hip. I'm old and have hip problems. That's all I got.
But don't worry, Job has 42 chapters. They got plenty of time.
That is true. I'm supposed to be getting through 5 chapters tonight. John is correct. We have time. All right, we're just going to move quickly. I'm going to jump on down, and I'm going to go ahead and just read a couple of things, and I'm just going to kind of skim through the next 5 chapters, and I just want to make some comments. But I want to establish in my mind what kind of person that I think Elihu is. I think Elihu is young in comparison to the other guys. I think he comes in as, I'm just fresh out of Bible college. I know it all. I took a class in that. Let me grab my notes. Sound about right? I took 1 semester of guidance and counseling. Let's sit down and have a session. I actually did. I had 1 class in graduate school called Christian counseling or something like that. I walked out of there going, I have no clue what we're talking about most of the time. I hate psychology. But anyways, look at verse 17. I want to finish up just in this chapter, giving you my personal overview of Elihu. Here's what he says in verse 17. I said, and I will answer also my part. I also will show, what is the next 2 words? Anybody got it there in Job 33:17? Anybody still with me? Mine opinion. Really? Because that's spiritual, isn't it? Now, I'll give him kudos for this. At least he told everybody it was his opinion. When I do lessons here in Sunday school, I am more than happy to tell you that some things that I say are 100% my opinion, can't prove them from Scripture. This is how I read. I like to read and imagine things that aren't in the story. I don't know if that's because movies and television somehow are more entertaining than reading a book. But I have since I was a little kid. I used to be a voracious reader. Is that the right word, voracious reader? I read a lot when I was a kid. My favorite book when I was a kid was Encyclopedia Brown. I used to love those things. All right? Just say, he knows. And when I would read a book, I'd get lost because I'm not looking at words on a page. I'm seeing images everywhere in my brain. Do you read like that? I don't see words. I see pictures and images. I don't hear voices. I make up the sound of voices. Don't tell me that if you aren't watching that commercial that you won't hear Samuel L. Jackson go, "What's in your wallet?" Because that's the guy who says it on the commercial every time, right? You'll read it. If you see the phrase, "live long and prosper," you don't say it in your voice. You say it in Spock's voice. I'm just saying. That's how I read. So when I read the Bible, I have to put some extra stuff in. I'm willing to tell you it's my opinion. I'll give him kudos for that. But I have a hard part with him saying, I'm going to tell you, Job, all of your problems. I'm going to tell you 3 guys what all your problems is. By the way, this is my opinion because I'm so smarter than you. This was a guy who was eager and ready to talk. And by the way, he didn't really care what he said to anybody else. Look at verses 21 and 22. He says, "Let me not, I pray you, accept any man's person, neither let me give flattering titles unto man." I think we understand he wasn't about flattering anybody. "For I know not to give flattering titles. In doing so, my Maker would soon take me away." Let's go on to chapter 33. So in chapter 33, he turns to Job because he's already yelled at the 3 guys. So now he decides to turn to Job, and this is what he says. "Wherefore, Job, I pray thee, hear my speeches and hearken to all my words." Now notice he says hearken. It's not just listen to me. He says you need to obey me. You need to do what my opinion tells you to. "Behold, now I have opened my mouth. My tongue has spoken in my mouth. My words shall be of the uprightness of my heart. My lips shall utter knowledge clearly." Now, do I think this guy might have been coming from a right place? Was he trying to do something good? Maybe. Do I think he had the same problem that the other 3 had? Do I think he had a little Satan sitting on his shoulder whispering in his ear? Personally, yes, I do. Verse 4 says, "The Spirit of God hath made me, and the breath of the Almighty hath given me life. If thou canst answer me, set thy words in order before me, stand up." Now I want you to think about this. This guy has lost, in whatever time frame, everything he owns. He's lost his kids, his wife, not necessarily a help right now. He's covered head to toe in boils, and he says, "I am so important, I'm going to tell you what for. Stand up when I talk to you." And if I'm Job, I'm really looking at him going, this is where if I were Job, I would want to just step out of my Christianity for a moment. I know we're not allowed to do that, but I would really want to. See, this is where I told you, this is my opinion. This is not the Bible, this is me. I would want to go smack this guy. Or at the very least, I would like to tell him off. What? Stand up. What? Are you kidding me? Do you see this? Here, grab a piece of pottery and start scraping. Smack. Even though it would hurt, I'd still smack him. And I want you to see to what extent he goes. Now, pastor's back there. He's listening while he's working just because. It's like an evaluation at school when my assistant principal is in here. All right? I better get 3s and 4s. That's all I got to say. Right, Faith? That's what I'm shooting for. So if I'm wrong, he'll tell me. But I want you to notice what it says in verse 6. And I think this is a very dangerous place. Behold, I am according to thy wish in God's stead. Do you remember last week what we said as we were going through Job the final time, and we said that he made this comment that kind of gave us the idea of a lawyer in a courtroom, yes? I want to come before God. I want to plead my case. I just want to know what the answer is. And here he says, I'll give you your wish, Job. I will stand in God's stead. Now, he does go ahead and say, I also am formed out of clay. So he's not trying to say, I am God. But boy, that's just a little bit scary to say, let me stand in judgment as God would. His other 3 friends did a lot of accusations, but not a single one of them were willing to cast judgment upon Job. And yet here comes the young whippersnapper saying, I'll stand in God's stead. Go ahead, make your argument to me, and then hearken unto me when I tell you what you have. I look at that, and it scares me. Verse 8 through 11, we can tell at least the guy was paying attention, because in verses 8 through 11, he says, Surely thou hast spoken in mine hearing, and I have heard the voice of thy words. I am clean without transgression. I am innocent, neither is there iniquity in me. Behold, he findeth occasion against me. He counteth me for his enemy. He putteth my feet in the stocks. He marketh all my paths. You know, being at that trial a couple weeks ago, you know, the one thing I learned is that there's somebody keeping a really good record of everything every witness says. And any good prosecutor and any good defense lawyer knows that I can pull that out really quick and say, now, you heard this person when he said this, didn't you? And he's pulling all this back on Job, I think, quite a bit out of context. And then we see in verse 12 what he says, Behold in this, thou art not just. I will answer thee that God is greater than man. Did Job ever try to say that he was greater than God? I don't think so. Nobody is ever saying that Job was a perfect man, indicating that he was sinless. Job had his faults. We'll see that as we get into chapter 40, 41. But nothing that Job did was the cause of all the suffering he was put through, as his friends and as Elihu is trying to say. As we continue to move on, let's go ahead and jump to, I think it's verse 14 because I have this. As we continue to read in verse 14, it says, For God speaketh once, yea, twice, yet man perceiveth not. As you read through this, he basically tells Job that, hey, look, God is talking to you. Did you know back then, this is what it's saying here in verse 15, in a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, in slumberings on the bed. Wouldn't you like it if God talked to us that way? Now, I don't believe that any of us are going to see a vision of a 500-foot Jesus telling us what to do. It'd be pretty weird if it did. I've had some really weird dreams. Usually they involve UFOs, and when the alarm starts sounding, it's because my alarm on my phone went off to wake me up. Just saying. I don't think that's Jesus telling me that there are UFOs going to come take me. Thank goodness. But back then, did God not communicate many times in dreams and visions. Keep reading. Verse 16, then he openeth the ears of men and sealeth their instruction. Does God not reason with men? Did Job not talk with God? Did Abraham not actually talk with God? Something that we don't have today. Not in the same way. If you continue to read, go down to verse 19. He is chastised also with pain upon his bed. Does God not use, when we are wrong, judgment to communicate with us? Now, if you go ahead and read into it, then I believe this is what Elihu is saying. God hasn't been talking to you in your dreams, has he, Job? God hasn't been showing up to have a conversation with you, has he, Job? So then guess what it must be, Job? God's talking to you through judgment, and he's telling you you're wrong. It's amazing how we can come to conclusions like that, isn't it? We're good at stuff like that. Jump all the way down to verse 33. Well, I'll go to verse 31. Mark well, O Job, hearken unto me. Hold thy peace. That's right, Job. Sit there, be quiet, listen. And I will speak. If thou hast anything to say, answer me. Don't you hate when somebody does something like that? You be quiet. Then they ask you a question like, why aren't you answering me? There you go. I just have to laugh when I read those two verses back to back over this week and going through going, wow. It sounds almost something comical. And then in verse 33, he once again says, if not, hearken unto me, hold thy peace, and I shall teach thee wisdom. This guy Elihu thinks that he's the only person who has cornered the market on wisdom in this situation. He thinks that Job and his three friends are all messed up. So much so that you realize not only chapter 32, chapter 33, and chapters 34, 35, 36, 37, he continues on this rant. None of the other guys made it more than 2 chapters before Job had a chance to respond. This guy goes for 5. Let's just pick up a few other things, shall we? Let's go to chapter 34. Just some things that as I was reading and studying that I thought, let's pop a few of these out. And hopefully I'll remember my same thoughts from this week as I read these. Job chapter 34, as I get down to, I'll just read it really quick at the beginning. Furthermore, Elihu answered and said, hear my words, O ye wise men. I think that was sarcastic. And give ear unto me, ye that have knowledge. Again, sarcastic. For the ear trieth words as the mouth tasteth meat. Let us choose to us judgment. Let us know among ourselves what is good. For Job hath said, I am righteous, and God hath taken away my judgment. Should I lie against my right? My wound is incurable without transgression. What man is like Job, who drinketh up scorning like water? I know his 3 friends weren't great. This guy's the worst of all when it comes to being miserable of a comforter, yes? Accusation after accusation after accusation flies against Job. And there's a part of me that wonders, how well do you really know Job, Elihu? How far did you come to be part of this party? As we continue to read, I'll go all the way down to verse 31 in chapter 34. Looking at verse 31. That the hypocrite reign not, lest the people be ensnared. That was verse 30, I'm sorry. Surely it is meet to be said unto God, I have borne chastisement. I will not offend any more. That which I see not, teach thou to me. If I have done iniquity, I will do no more. Should it be according to thy mind, he will recompense it, whether thou refuse or whether thou choose, and not I. Therefore speak thou what I knowest. Let men of understanding tell me, and let a wise man hearken unto me. Job has spoken without knowledge, and his words were without wisdom. Are we saying that everything Job said was right? I don't think any of us would say that. But are you really going to sit here and tell me that everything that Job said was words without knowledge or words without wisdom? And then I want you to notice what he says in verse 36. Everything's okay I learned this. This is a Southern thing I've heard. It's okay when you say something mean about somebody, as long as you finish it with, bless their heart. Am I correct? That is a Southern thing from what I have learned. Say something mean and nasty, just finish it with, well, bless their heart. And it's okay. Verse 36 says, my desire is that Job may be tried unto the end because of his answers for wicked men. It's possible that he's trying to sit here and say in a backhanded way, Job, I hope you get what you desire. You want a trial? I hope you get a trial. So he said, bless your heart. Then he turned around and punched him in the face by saying, for he addeth rebellion unto his sin. He clappeth his hands among us and multiplied his words against God. If you were to only know anything about Job from the words of Elihu, Job sounds like the most miserable Christian that ever existed, does he not? And what do we learn from Job through all of this? I'm asking your opinion here. What do you learn about Job from reading this and hearing what Elihu has to say? I'm curious, what do you think? Because I already told you what I would have done. Talk about patience, yes? To be able to sit there and take it. You watch enough things on TV, YouTube, people don't take criticism well anymore. You're not careful what you say, somebody's going to jump over the counter at Burger King and they're going to come smack you upside the head. It ain't a joke. They'll do it. They don't care. Because that's about where we've gotten to in our world today, isn't it? And Job just sits there and lets this man talk. Now, I will only say this because we're almost out of time, and I still technically have 3 chapters left, 35, 36, 37, which is okay because I've only got like 2 other verses to read. You realize at the end of this, Job doesn't talk to Elihu. When this is done, God speaks. And there's a part of me that believes that God speaks because Elihu is such an idiot. That's my opinion, just like it was his opinion. It's my opinion that God at that point decided, now's time. Because I keep reiterating this point. I don't think Satan quit testing Job when Job got boils. I think Satan has been testing Job every step of the way, including all of these 4 guys. And at the end of chapter 38, when we get to chapter 39, at the end of 37, when we get to chapter 38, God finally decides, this is enough. I'm now going to talk to Job. But let me give you 2 more things from Elihu that I wrote down that I thought I'd mention. Chapter 35. And we see once again an accusation against Job. Although thou sayest thou shalt not see him, yet judgment is before him, therefore trust thou in him. But now, because it is not so, he hath visited in his anger, yet he knoweth it not in great extremity. Therefore doth Job open his mouth in vain. He multiplieth words without knowledge. Now we see here that Elihu is accusing Job of being angry at God. I have read through the book of Job, not straight in settings, but I'm saying as far as this study, how many times I've read through these chapters in Job, all those chapters I read through of Job's words, I see sorrow, I see hurt, I see confusion. The one thing I never saw was anger. I never saw Job angry at God. Remember what we said, helpless, not hopeless, right? And yet this is the accusation he's taking. I wonder if I were Job at this point. Do you think Job is sitting there crying? Do you think he's shedding a tear because of the accusations of somebody who we can only assume at one point was his friend, even though he was younger? Maybe he was somebody who was a Maybe he and Job had a mentor-mentee relationship. Again, I'm reading into that. I'm not saying that's what happened, but could that be a possibility? Here comes a guy who's from a prestigious family. Maybe he is connected to Abraham. Could you imagine how that would make Job feel, that this is what we get? I can overread as much as I want. Did Abraham send him to comfort his friend Job? If they were contemporaries, could that have been the case? I don't know about you. If I had been through everything right there, I might be listening to him and I might have patience to keep my mouth shut, but that doesn't mean it hurts any less. Last verse I'll read, I'll go to chapter 37, just the last one, just picking out things. And again, you can read through the chapters to see all of this. And I finish with verse 5 in chapter 37 because this is actually one verse that Elihu says that I think is an awesome verse. Because Elihu does recognize God for who he is in this statement. In verse 5 it says, God thundereth marvelously with his voice. Great things doeth he, which we cannot comprehend. If there was any truth that Elihu spoke, it gets sandwiched in with all of this almost bile and, when my father-in-law used to say buzzard puke that he spews out. And he recognizes one key fact that I think is very important as we get ready to get to chapter 38. And he says, God thundereth marvelously with his voice. Great things doeth he, which we cannot comprehend. I've said it numerous times. Bad things happen. People get sick. People pass away. People struggle. And we sit here and wonder, why does God let it happen? Great things doth he, which we cannot comprehend. Helpless, yes. Hopeless, never. True? That's the focus we see. So starting next week, we get to ignore the foolishness of men. And now we get to take a look at what God has to say. What is God's response after 35 chapters of all of this? And we'll pick up there. Our Heavenly Father, we're grateful for your love to us. We are thankful for a new microphone, and we pray that we can get everything straightened out with it and the blessing that'll be here at church, Lord. And we do pray as we continue our study and hopefully conclude it soon in lessons from the book of Job, Lord, that you'd help us to be understanding when we go through trials, Lord, that we would be comforting to those who are going through trials, Lord. I pray that you just bless us as we go on our way tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. I got to work at, I don't know, about 6:20 normal.
Your light looked off.
Oh, that's because when I got there, I went and I was talking to Christine Christensen and then Sandy till I didn't get to my room till 7:05
Yeah.
because I decided I didn't want to do any work. So I went to talk.
Yeah.
That's usually what I do.
was down talking, I ended up talking to Damaris, but I signed
Yeah.
up for my formal for December 2nd.
Okay. So isn't it nice that you only have to do one, or do you don't have to do two anymore, do you?
Yeah, just one.
Just the one, yeah.
And I've already had at least one informal, but she's been in there several
Oh,
times. I'm like,
I've had all my informals done. I haven't. I'm going to sign up for my formal sometime in December because I prefer to like have it all done before Christmas, just because I don't want to have to mess with it. And plus, once you hit March, spring break, APs are going nuts, and to really try and get them to come in, and there's always teachers who are like, no, I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait, and it's like,
well, my
I think it's crazy.
My DPP was originally going to be on building relationships with students, which
Yeah.
I'm like, I knocked that one out of the park. I'm not like a self-boaster.
Right,
That
yeah.
one I've got.
I'm just going to talk over you
But
because they're
she
doing the
wanted-
mic.
Yeah, no. So she wanted us to use because of the one-to-one computers, she wanted us to do something with technology, and I was like, well,
Okay.
I could still use that with my building relationships, but I
Sure,
went
yeah.
and switched it to new material, like introducing new
Okay, yeah.
material. And so
I hear
that
ya.
way you kind of focus on that, and I'm like, but the only thing is like really new material is gonna come in each new quarter.
Well,
But
I would
it
think
doesn't
maybe
have to
so
be
in
like a new
English.
Unit, it
No.
could be just a new
Concept. Yeah.
So I said, well, I'm just gonna like get it, like.
Yeah, especially
I'll
if it's
figure it out.
something-
I don't know what I'm doing at that point.
Don't worry about it. Whatever lesson you got, the only thing I do, and this is the only game I play with it.
Well, I didn't even stress about it last year, and that was the first time I had formals. I said, look, she's gonna come in here,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna teach how I teach, and if they don't like it, they're gonna have to be like, we're sorry, Faith, this is not working out.
Yeah, no, because you actually teach. But that's the way I am. I mean, I can plan it because I pretty much can tell you every lesson I'm going to teach till the end of school because I've taught it enough. And there's certain lessons which lend themselves well. There's others that don't. I'll look at what my DPP is, and I will pick a lesson that will fit because that's the only thing I care about. I need the bonus point because I don't want to get
So.
a lower evaluation score overall.
The bonus points that add to our pay does not go in until, it hasn't gone in yet.
I don't know because technically what's supposed to happen is,
Contract pay hasn't even like gone in yet.
no, were they supposed to adjust contract pay or no?
I thought there was like a 3%,
You know what, I don't know, I don't remember what that is, I about can't keep track anymore.
unless you're at like a certain level, and then.
I might be at that level, I don't
But I
know.
don't even know what my
We'll
pay
make so
is
much money, it doesn't
because,
even matter.
but I'm constantly like subbing for people during my planning period.
So you're making extra money
And so
there.
I'm making money there. And
What do they pay you for that?
I think it's like 24 per class.
For an hour and a half?
Yeah, and all I do is sit in there and be like, y'all do your work, I got work to do.
Yeah.
So I'm getting paid for my money.
I get paid more for teaching the 7th
I
class, so
told Fran, I said, please don't give me any 9th graders. And please don't give me 10th graders, but.
give you
definitely
juniors and
9th
seniors.
graders.
Yeah.
Juniors and seniors, preferably seniors. And
Okay.
she's been really good about assigning me.
Well, we've
which in
had
my
so many
role,
out.
we had- Yes.
I mean, it's been
It
crazy.
was like a huge list, and so when
20.
I see only 10, I'm like, oh, wow, that's a small list to me.
And I think it's harder and harder for them to get the subs. And then I know they don't want to pull clerks, but sometimes they have no choice but to pull a clerk. And it's like I felt bad when I had to do the court thing because I know that they didn't get subs those 3 days. There weren't subs that came in.
Yeah.
Which is why I purposely, and that's one of the things that, as much as I hated the idea 2 years ago about doing Canvas, I've come to love because it's like, I don't need to leave anything for the sub. Here's the instructions. Canvas, 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 canvas. Do lots of canvas because it's all right there. Just do your work.
Canvas, yeah.
It's all on Canvas. Just get it done.
Well, and then I still have students now, and I'm like, we've been in school for how many weeks? And they'll come in and be like, Ms. Chinsol's absent, what I miss? Canvas.
Exactly, yeah. Same thing. It's on Canvas.
I don't remember. But
Everything's on Canvas.
there was something, oh, and I sent an email to Freeland, whatever.
Who's
his
that?
name is. He's like in charge, I think, of the.
Of what?
union.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, I don't like him. Dave Freeland, yeah.
But I was talking to Amaris this morning, and she was saying that she sent him one, and she's like ticked off, and so she's like, da, 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 da. And so it's like, that's
So what were you asking him about, if I may be so bold as to
I
ask?
feel like as a member of the union, I joined last year as a new member with it, and I was, you know, of the understanding that I would get representation.
Okay.
And I don't feel like I'm being represented fairly because I guess they had sent out like an email about like 50% of the staff, teachers being vaccinated versus the other 50 not, whatever the number is. And so yet they're pushing for mask, the mask mandate and everything. And I'm like, I'm tired of wearing a mask. We had 0 teachers and only 7 students who tested positive
Yeah.
last month.
And we didn't send near as many kids home.
No.
I actually talked to,
And so, like, why are we, when more and more of the kids are not wearing masks, and they have the option to opt out, and we don't, and nobody's standing up for us, so I'm like, why am I paying dues to a organization that's supposed to represent me, and you're not representing me?
I actually, on a different topic, talked to Chris Waldrop, and I said to him, I said, look, I said, I'm going to ask you as one of the union reps here at school. I said, I want you to mention to him that I don't appreciate the political commentary.
Yeah.
The political commentary that basically, look, it's not an idiot. We all know you're a Democrat.
Yeah.
I don't need the offhanded comment about Governor DeSantis. Tell me the facts. I can make up my own mind. I'm a grown boy, and I personally, as a union member, have a problem with it.
Yeah. Well, and I did mention stuff about a political agenda, and that this should not be involved, and you can
It's not
use
a political agenda.
use the cop-out answer of we're following the science, but if you're really following the science, you would make it optional, like you could choose.
Yeah, you
Like,
should be able to
so-
choose what you would want to
and
do.
so that's a bunch of bull to me, and so, and I was very nice, Amaris said that she was not, she was like, I told them I am seriously TO'd, and so.
I'm sick of it too.
Very nice, and I hope I was sounding very professional, but,
My bass spends most of its time here.
well, I don't usually, I even like take it off, and I have a student who sits like right here, but if it's one of my students who's wearing a mask, I will try to keep it on more, but I can't talk with it anymore.
It's so hard to hear kids. It's hard for them to hear us.
Well, I know, because I'm like, and then I'm like, when I take it down, I can kind of lower but I know if Bobo comes in, she's not.
No, but it's, all it takes is one kid or one visit from somebody above Pop that could get her in trouble, and I wouldn't want that. So I always keep mine hand. I mean, it's going to stay here, and I will occasionally pop it up.
It's
I
usually
think,
under my chin.
I think for me,
Have it,
and
sometimes I
ag-
take it off.
and again, this is my choice. I went ahead and got vaccinated, part because I'm old. I know I have some health issues. So I went ahead and took the risk because, honestly, I was scared for the whole concept of, I mean, honestly, Jeremy throws it off. I mean, with me and my health issues, if I had gotten a full-blown case with nothing, I could have put myself in Jeremy's spot. I'm overweight. I have breathing issues. Forgive me, I've had cancer. Yeah. So I went ahead and got vaccinated for that reason. Didn't thrill me, but I went ahead and did it.
Yeah,
So why in the world, if I'm vaccinated, do I still have to wear a mask?
yeah,
I have no understanding to that.
yeah.
You know, and like you said, more and more kids, I can guarantee you that I have more kids who are not wearing masks. They don't have an opt-out. They just quit wearing them.
And that's why I told Amaris, I said, I've never once reported a kid, because by the time I sit there
You
and I go
can't.
through and look at who's opted out versus who's wearing a mask and who's not, when am I supposed to teach? And I never, and she goes, oh, she said not one teacher has turned in kids to Bobo that she knows.
You
of.
can't.
And she said, and Bobo's not, like, I think that was just okay,
I'm not the mask police.
outside of here. But the district, that was more of to appease the district, okay, we told the teachers that they have to report the kids, and then
Yeah,
nobody's making
nobody's,
them report.
there will be a
I
few,
don't wanna wear a
yes,
mask.
there
I'm
will
not
be a
gonna
couple.
report them, like,
But there will be a couple. But the majority of us, no, because like you, when do I have to, it's hard enough just to take attendance when they come in than it is to, wait a second, let me go grab my list. So-and-so, sorry, you need a mask. Oh, so you're going to get a nasty gram tomorrow? Or did you already do
no,
it tonight?
I put it in during
Okay.
the 7th period when I did their attendance, and
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, oh crud, were these 2 students here? Like, there's 2 of them, I don't know if they were there or not. They were working on their poster board project.
Oh, okay.
And so they were moved around the room
Yeah.
working with their partners, so they're not in their regular seats.
That's very hard when
They're
that
not in
happens,
their
yeah.
contact tracing seats, and I didn't even make them move, because before when we had the contact trace and they were quarantining, kids,
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, it's been 10 minutes, you guys get up and go back over here and then move back, and I would.
Yeah, I don't even do
But
any of
now
that.
I'm just like, no, you're fine, just stay there.
Yeah.
So,
I'm gonna be doing something in my
these
class that
two,
goes
they're
like
so
that.
quiet, and I'm like, I don't know if I saw them or not. So at first I marked them absent, but then I was like, I feel like I need to err.
Did you look at the rest of the day and see whether they were marked present or
Yes,
absent?
and
I would have
the
gone with
ones
that.
who were marked absent in the other classes, I left them as absent.
Yeah.
I was pretty sure about them, but the two, it was kind of iffy, I think, like with one class or two, and then I'd have to
Well,
look at their
yeah.
abbreviated schedule, so I said, you know what? I just marked them both present, and I thought I could ask them next class.
You know,
and send it to Carol.
you
or
can.
just leave it alone. Just like,
You know what? We all make mistakes. There's been a time when I've actually gotten a thing from a parent. You marked my child absent, and I'll be like, I did? Were they here? And sometimes it's a missed name. Sometimes it's well, you know, and it's honest. I do my attendance immediately when the bell rings. If a student walks in late, there have been times that I have forgotten to go over and change their attendance to tardy. And yes, you know what? Okay, I'll send a message to Carol. We'll get it fixed. But let's be honest, do you really think most parents are looking at their kids' attendance?
Well, I have some students who come in and are like, oh, Miss Shinji marked me, and then I'm like, did you come in late then?
And that's my point, yeah.
The other day I was doing attendance and I was going through before the end of class and I was checking the
Yeah.
list because my first blocks always, I have a bunch of kids coming in late,
Mm-hmm.
seniors, abbreviated schedules.
Of course, yeah.
And so I went through and I was like,
It's crazy.
Marked Liliana absent, and I looked and she's sitting in her seat, and I was like, she didn't come in. I think she's been here. So I was like, Liliana, you've been here the whole time, right? She's like, yeah. And I was like, I don't know what happened. I said, I have you marked absent. I may have been trying to mark somebody else around. I don't know.
Yeah.
I said, but I'll fix it.
I've started going, because this year I've had such a hard time with names, more than any other year. I think because last year even messed me up a little. Maybe COVID fog, I don't know. But I've actually started using the seating chart for taking attendance, and I just look through the seating chart, who's here, who's sitting in the seat or not. And I still call names,
For sixth period, because
but-
I look at the empty seats and I mark them and then I move on.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
and then you got that random kid who sits in somebody else's chair because that's where their friend sits, which is hilarious because at the beginning of second quarter, the last week of the first 9 weeks, I said, here's a sheet. There's two blanks side by side. You may pick whoever you want to sit at a table with. I do not care as long as you will promise you will behave. I reserve the right to veto this if you are a problem. But you may put your name. You may only put your name, have your friend come up, put it next to it. I had one class where only one group of two came up and signed up to sit next to their friend. Everybody else was just, oh, whatever. And I did it on a day where I finished 10 minutes early, or no, 30 minutes early. Work on work. Hey guys, here's the sheet. Come fill it out. You want to sit next to somebody? Your choice. And yet I still have these kids who get up and move and go talk to friends. It's like, you're that lazy you wouldn't even sign up to sit next to a friend. But hey, what are you going to do? It is what it is.
Depends on the day whether they're friends or not.
Well, that could be part of it, yeah. I'm not going to deny it.
out and
Yeah, you going to try?
Go get this real quick.
That's fine. Is there a setting on there that I don't know about? Probably is.
We had the- Might need to try this. See if that makes a difference. All right, it starts.
La, la, la. I could do my Michael Jackson impersonation. Just saying. Yes, but my voice isn't high enough for that anymore. Been a long time for that. I am going to have to go in about 5 minutes. I have a DBA at 8:30, and I don't remember with which kid. Oh, it's Beatrice. That's right.
all right, yeah.
Stop by. Say hi tomorrow. All right. I know, but it's a much longer walk for me. You should be passing my room on the way. What do you do? Go on the right side of the walkway, or do you park in the back lot? Ah. I see. But I have a hard time going down there with all the, the elitist snobs on our hallway. It's been a joke I've said for 3 years. It's not that I truly mean it. It's just fun to joke. Oh yeah, there are a bunch of those for sure.
Political, and that's not why, but Gordon, she started coming over using my microwave last year early on.
Yeah.
And we'd start talking, and now we just do lunch together.
Yeah. I'm fortunate that most of the people I talk to tend to have similar political leanings.
Our hall is full of Democratic, very opinionated
Yeah.
people.
You know, I hate to say it, but almost politically anymore, I tend to ride the center because I understand politically there's a lot of people who don't agree with what I believe in this country, which is fine. So in the country, we need to at least get something done. So people need to learn to compromise, and we have none of that anymore.
But I mean, like, why you're gonna talk with 6 other people and
No, I wouldn't do it because,
discuss about the same thing and you're all on the same side, nobody's saying anything opposite, but you all get
yeah,
upset about it. And
that's
I'm
kind of
not
like The
eating
View.
now, but I'm just sitting there eating my sandwich listening, and I'm like, man, these people are really upset about this.
You get one conservative and a whole bunch of liberals, and the one person gets attacked. You know,
Well, I never said anything. And
So,
Paul
yeah, I
never
wouldn't
said
either.
anything. Amber was pretty quiet, but
you know, it's just easier. So, you know who you can talk to about certain things and who you can't. So I had a lady across the hall from me 2 years ago.
I just don't like to talk politics anyway.
Every day. Every day. It was just crazy.
I don't talk politics with too many people.
No, very, very few. All right, how we doing, guys? Are we getting there?
Yeah,
Slow but sure?
I think it helped adjust the.
Okay, in here?
Because it was coming in.
Yeah, it probably was. I wouldn't doubt it.
It might be even good to cut it back a little bit.
But I'm not going to lie. I mean, I meant seriously. I joked about it, but I like this a lot better than that. I think you guys have more control here rather than up down. You're not worried about, is it going to rub against my shirt if I move weird? It's got better sound than I thought it would have. It picks up awesome.
Yeah, I'm struggling with the muddiness because
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of reverb around the room that's feeding back into your microphone. So
Well, also you got to remember too, and this is just something to think. I know right now, I don't have a cold, but I do have just a little congestion, and it is affecting, I would say, the tone of my voice, which I think can go into it.
yeah,
You know, as far
I'm
as
not
listening to me, I don't think.
this. All right. So now I'm testing it. What do you think? Does it sound like my natural tone mostly? Okay. Okay. It still sounds a little muffled to me. What do you think, Pierre? Pierre. Pierre. I guess he can't hear. So. Okay. See you, Brother Will. Pierre.
It is a little bit,
Is it natural sounding yet, or it still sounds a little muffled to me?
it is a little muffled. There's a
Yeah.
little too much bass in it.
Yeah, and I've been cutting the bass out. Like I cut it like way back, but it just seems to naturally have that sort of like muffledy sort
Well,
of sound.
Part of it just is because it really is close. Of course, well, you
Right.
don't off your chest anymore like you did in the other one. So
Right. Well, I always was disappointed with the way that other one sounded. Anyway, the pulpit microphone already has a pretty natural sound.
Yeah.
And then when we would switch over to the lapel before, it would go from like a really nice crisp sound to like a really muffledy sort of low sound. And then it was so sensitive that you couldn't like pick up the highs too much. So
Well, there's a bit of a cover for it.
yeah, there is a windscreen, but that's for the popping and the P's. And I have those windscreens in my office, I think. I don't think.
They're in
I
here.
haven't- Oh, they came. Oh, okay. There's one in here. Yeah, we need to make sure we put that on. That doesn't really do a whole lot for the sound quality, to be honest. Oh, by the way, and also there's this clip right here. Should somebody want to actually wear it, you can do that too,
Okay.
so they don't have to put it over their ear if they don't
Some
want
people
to.
don't like those over their ears.
Yeah. Let's see. It may impact the quality a little bit. I have to take it off to do that. Man, it's going to take a little work to get this on there. So it's a real narrow opening. I'm going to... anymore.
Yeah.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. You know what? That seems to have made a little bit of a difference, actually.
Yeah.
Because I think that's cut out the...
Because what I figured is that maybe it might be too sensitive.
Yeah, because it was picking up a lot of the tones around the room in addition, which added to the barrely sort of sound. So I think you're right about that. So that'll help us cut that out a little bit. And now, probably normalize some of this stuff a little bit more. I'm going to go back to about center on all of these. And then just kind of adjust one way or the other. Because I really couldn't do anything to like give it any gain. So
When you talk louder, there's more of a...
right, yeah. So okay, so all this has it being at about neutral on everything, and cut the gain back there, and here, and the compressor. Put this about normal. Put that there. Testing 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Turn those off. Okay, so let's start with this. Let's get the volume first and see what we got going on there. Might give it a little more volume from here. Testing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, the goal is that with,
Ring once you-
right,
The volume goes up.
the goal is that we'd have this set at unity and this set at unity, so that's kind of the main point. Hello, sorry we're holding him up. I apologize. We got a new over-the-ear microphone, and we need to kind of make some adjustment to it so that it is ready to go for Sunday. Oh, okay. I can take it home. Yeah, I can take it home. Thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate it. There we go. And so, all right, so start with this. Next thing is, it should be a little wider in the mids and a little thinner in the bass and the highs, I think. And then a little more gain in the mids, a little more gain in the mids, and then a little less in the bass. Maybe the low mid is kind of muffly. Here we go. Getting a little closer, getting a little closer. Testing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing.
More natural.
There we go. So, and if I get a little closer to natural, tones, then I'll hit a little more with the volume. Testing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, and maybe a little higher frequencies here. Higher frequency there. All right, that seems to be doing pretty good here. Might have to cut this out a little bit. It's starting to get a little high. Testing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Maybe these need to be lower frequencies. What happens if I take that all the way down? All right. So I think this is sounding pretty decent, I think. It still sounds it's still a little muddy, but right about here seems to be part of the issue. And then maybe I need a little more bass on the low end. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's a little boomy, but something a little,
Because you get boomy, if you
right.
do,
Yeah, that'll be good there. I don't know. What do you think, Brother Hibbard?
I think that's not bad.
Yeah, let me see what it sounds like on the platform. So it was tough to adjust while he was speaking because anytime I'd get any, I just didn't want to make that too distracting, but I think I could put up with this. It's still a little, maybe the high mids are a little too high, or a little too strong. Might need to cut those back a little bit. What's that? Yeah, we're getting a little closer. Thanks for helping with this. So, high mids right here. So maybe this needs to go a little closer to neutral there, and then maybe a little more in the middle there. Okay, so where are we on this? This is getting closer. This sounds a little more natural to me. Like, I think it really, yeah, when I'm listening to it right now, it doesn't sound like that the sound coming out of the speaker sounds a whole lot different than what I personally hear in my head. So it's hard to adjust yourself, but I think I could, when I get to, when we're a little closer, that Hayden and I could take a look at it tomorrow as well and kind of fine tune it. But I think we got the major stuff done. So, yeah. Okie dokie. Well, that'll be